Okay, everyone, welcome. Welcome to the BobCast. This is the 15th of July, 2021, and this is a weekly conversation we've been doing over the last month, actually. A little extra we add to the inner circle. This BobCast will morph over the next several months into something else, but in the meantime, to help support you during the challenges that we're doing on the inner circle, then we've added this call. We are interested in helping all of those who have made a decision that you want to make some success happen in your life. Some of you chosen to be in real estate investing, some of you chosen to do personal growth, some of you chosen to be involved in businesses, some of you chose information marketing, writing a book, things of that nature. So the Bobcast is really kind of like a little extra information that we add on top of it. Today, we're going to talk about the 3 secrets of wealth. And the reason I'm going to talk about these secrets is because in any kind of area that you want to grow yourself in, whether it's in business, money oriented, or even personal success, some of these secrets are really important. Now, not as if these secrets are things you don't already know. A secret is something that you probably already know but don't do. That's why it's a secret to you. You haven't done it yet. And so so let's talk about what some of those secrets are here today. Let me hold on a second. I got to get the right PowerPoint. What do you think the secrets are, by the way, when you think about it? What do you think the secrets are? Yeah, when you're a teacher, you get to make this stuff up. So I get to say to myself, what are the secrets? I get to make them up, right? Based upon my experience. But when you think about it, what are some of the things that really you need to know in order to succeed? We call them secrets, but they're not really secrets per se, right? They are just things that you make sure that you're on your to-do list so that, hold on a second. All right, here we go. There's a secret to doing Zoom. Let's figure those secrets out first, huh? Okay, here we go. Okay, so today we're talking about what obviously some are pretty obvious secrets. They're not secrets, but if you want to be rich, you need to think the way rich people think. Duh, of course. People who are really successful financially, they have a way of thinking that ordinary people don't have a way of thinking that way because they've never been trained that way. Think about all your schooling. Did anybody ever teach you about money in all of your schooling? Did you ever attend a class? Maybe you attended one class, but generally speaking, one of the most important subjects of your life is money. And if you aren't, trained in it, where do you learn it? Well, you read a book here or there, you watch other people do it, or you ask questions. But generally speaking, in schooling, we're not trained to think about money. We're trained to think about arithmetic, math, social studies, history, that kind of thing. But if you don't have any training when it comes to money, essentially you have anti-training. Usually trained by people who don't know about money. We'll talk about that. So rich people thinking versus poor people thinking. So let's kind of go through what I would suggest are the difference between rich people thinking and poor people thinking. I'm going to have every one of you put a check next to the one that you actually believe. And don't be put off by the fact that there are 2 columns and it seems as if poor is a negative thing and rich is a positive thing. That's not the way this is designed. You can be poor and be very successful. Your life can count. Every breath you take is worthy of breathing, even though you may be poor. So let's not think of, it's not rich dad, poor dad stuff, where poor dad is thinking in a different way. Just think, if you're not good with finances or finances are not important to you, then being poor is okay. Being poor is actually winning, right? So some of these attitudes, I want you to really ask yourself, do I believe this one or do I believe that one? And you're going to put a check next to every one that you strongly believe, right? Which one wins in this little vote that you're going to take? And you're going to count up because there's 10 on each side. The ones on the left-hand side and the ones on the right-hand side, the different values. I'll tell you what the values are later in terms of the scoring system. But right now, you're just going to put a check next to it. So in front of it, you on a blank piece of paper, you'll just put R and P in 2 columns, and you're just going to put a check next to questions 1 through 10 on the R side, which is the rich side, and 1 through 10 on the poor side. And you're going to check which ones relate to you, okay? So rich people, how do they think? Well, they like freedom. Freedom is an important value. It resonates with them. They love it. Whereas poor people, generally, they like security. And it's okay to like security. It's okay to like it. The question is, which one do you like the most? Looks like somebody's drawing on my screen. Stop it. So I'm going to have to come back out of my PowerPoint and stop sharing. Somebody's drawing on my screen. Okay, so.
It came out, Bob.
What was that? So, which one of those do you vote for? You know, and it's okay to vote for either one because we're talking about you. Who are you? And sometimes it's okay to have a value of security if that's a value that you really highly value. You know, that's really important to you. Okay, let's talk about rich people tolerate risk. I didn't say they like risk. I didn't say they look forward to risk, but they tolerate it. They're able to handle it. They're okay with risk. They know there's a cost to risk, but they're willing to lean in the favor of, oh yeah, I think the opportunity is in the risk zone, so I am going to go out into the risk zone, which is where the opportunity is found. People on the right-hand side, they prefer safety. So now you should have checked at least, because there's a winner, there's a yes and a no here. You can only vote for one of these lines. Can't vote for all 4 of them. You have to only vote for one that predominantly is the way your thinking is. So you should have 2 checks on your blank piece of paper in front of you right now. They like a challenge. They actually find that motivating to them. It's a driving force to them. They like to be challenged. Well, like is maybe not the right word, but they accept a challenge. They're motivated by a challenge. And then, you know, people who are on the other side of the coin, they don't like to be challenged. They like peace. They like to kind of settle. They don't want to push out to be challenged means they're going to take some risk. So they prefer peace. Okay. They like to lead. They think of themselves as a leader. They know it's okay to be a leader. They like to be the boss. And when it comes to the other coin, they like to follow, and they like it. They like to say, okay, boss, tell me where you want me to go. What do you want me to do? Give me the ball. I got it. They're not the coach. They're the player. And that's okay. Either one, whichever one relates to you. So as you're drawing this on a piece of paper, I want you to show me when we get done here, you're going to show the piece of paper with the marks on it. I want to see the survey that we're doing. Now I could do it in a different way, but you're going to show me. Okay, so you should have 4 checks next to these 4 different lines, right? They like to create. They like to make things out of nothing. They like to be creative. And so creating is really fun. and they like to do new things and to create stuff versus things that have already existed. And the other side, they like to manage creation. I mean, somebody else created it, then they like to tweak it and make it, nicer, and then they manage somebody else's creation, right? Then they like to do that. Then we need people who do that. Okay. They like flexibility. We could do it this way, we could do it that way. We could, they say like, they've got lots of ideas on how to be flexible, to be different, to break outside of the mold of what's ordinary. Somebody might have already created something, and they say, I'd like to be flexible. Let's try something new, right? Whereas the other side, they like stability. They like to settle into something that's comfortable. They're okay with kind of settling, right? Okay, so we're now on to the seventh question. They like big fast money. They like it. They know that they also could make big fast money, and they could lose big fast money. They sometimes making big fast money requires you to risk losing big fast money. And so, but they are okay with that, and they like to add zeros to things. If you're ordinary making $50,000 a year, they like to add a zero to that, and they like to do it as fast as possible because it's just kind of like the way they think. They just think that way. They are okay with slow money, as on the other side, as long as it's coming in regularly, stability. They can kind of, homeostasis is the word that scientists would use. They get comfortable with a certain range of money, and they fit their budgets to that, so that they kind of know what's coming in, they know what's going out. There's a little bit left over. They're really good with that. They like slow money, long periods of time, over 50 years. Whereas rich people, they they don't want 50 years. They want 5 years or less, right? They like to promote and persuade. They like to sell. They like to push. They like to inspire people to come with them. Come, there's a better future. Come on, let's go. And so they like to promote things to people, to persuade things to people. My wife is really good at that. When she really loves something, everybody's got to know about it and come with her on the ride. She's just that way. They don't like to offend or bother, because if I tried to sell you something, it might not be the right time. I don't want to bother you on your phone calling, no, so they put things off like that. Now you're going to have checks, and some of you have checks on both columns. It's just which one wins with regards to your personality. Which check do you get, right? They see opportunity everywhere. They see, we could do that, we could do this. Oh, I see an opportunity there. I wonder how I can make some money at that. Oh, yeah. So they just see it. They see the what's the word I'm trying to, you see this gaps, that's the word I'm looking for. They see these gaps, in the way things are, and there's a gap there, and they go, if we did it this way, we may be able to do more, So they see an opportunity, whereas they really don't see opportunity because they are more stable thinking. They've settled. So why would you want to pursue an opportunity? Opportunity means things will be different. They're different, and then I like sameness, they say. I like to be same. So literally, as they're looking through their lenses of the world, and they like sameness, and they like security, and they like safety, and they like peace, then that's the filter they're looking at the world through. Therefore, they don't get to see opportunity because there's risk, and then they go, I don't like risk. So therefore, their glasses kind of blind them to opportunities that are around them. Okay, and the 10th question is they are entrepreneur minded. Versus the other group are employee minded. They feel like I should work for somebody else. I like to attach myself to somebody else's rocket ship, somebody else's ship. I want to get on their ship. So they're going to captain it wherever they take it, but I want to be the crew. I want to be on the crew. I want to help. I want to row. I want to bring the sails up. That's just what I do. That's what an employee-minded person does. Whereas, entrepreneur-minded person wants to build the ship out of nothing, get in it, bring some crew members on and say, let's go. And they see a vision. They see visions of what they want to accomplish, and they want people to come along with them. So you should have 10 checks on this little quiz that I created. Some of you will have checks on both sides, and it's okay to do that. Some of you will lean towards one versus the other. And generally speaking, I'm going to attract a certain kind of person who thinks a certain kind of way anyway. So more than likely, you're going to lean as a group towards one column or the other. But let's have you hold up in front of your cameras now your sheets. I want to see them. All right, here we go. Let's stop sharing. Okay, good. Got your checks. Good. All right, look at Julie. She has checks on, all the checks are on the left-hand side. Okay, very good. Most people have checks on that left-hand side. This is kind of the people I attract. And it's just the way rich people think, and what percentage of the population think that way. In terms of
Bob, I'd like to make a comment when you said, yeah, it's all on that side. I think it'd be a good idea for some of us to do this with our spouses or team players.
Yeah.
Because I was doing it on another piece of paper. I didn't want to share it with the whole group, another piece of paper of my husband. And yet we work well as a team, but he is not on the left-hand side checks. And that's why he would not take this kind of course. But he supports me in taking it, and I need team players. So I encourage everybody to think about that for anybody that you're also in a business or a life with.
Well, that's a good question. How many of you are in a life relationship with somebody who checks on a different column than you, like Julie just explained?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can see why that's conflict, and so we fall in love with people, and then we figure out they think slightly different than we do. That falls into the camp of men and women too, by the way. But men and women are rich and poor in their thinking, the way we have our columns here. But anyway, thank you, Julie. It's true. And you may find your children will have a different way of thinking about it too. Sometimes if they're raised in an entrepreneurial household and all the money problems have been solved for them, and the parents are making big fast money, sometimes the kids will lean in that direction and say, yeah, let's go for it. Teach me how to do that, Dad. And then there's the other kids who go, I just didn't get Dad's genes or Mom's genes. It just didn't come through. I want to be on the other side of the ledger. So thank you. So back to our chart. As we go further, let's add some things to this column. What did we miss as we talked about rich people thinking and poor people thinking? What should we add to this list? What should be number 11, number 12? So if you think you have something you would like to add to it, then go into the chat and put on the left-hand side, put the rich thing, and then put the poor thing. Put them side by side so I can be able to put them into another chart that I would make like this. I'm sure that I've left something out along the way, and I'm sure some of you would have some things to add to this list. So I'll give you a minute to think about it. I'll be right back. Chat. Okay, I'm looking in the chat now. Let's see what we've got. Let's see if we've got some additions here. I'm excited. Okay, yeah, you keep adding. Good. Bruce has a right-handed spouse too. We probably ought to change the word poor, because it seems like a negative word. We'd probably make it so that it doesn't make a person look like they are in a negative state. Let's see, Stephen. Okay, good. Confidence, lack of confidence, says Dawn, as I'm looking in the chat of your additions to this rich people think differently chart. Confidence and lack of confidence. Like people like numbers. That's a very interesting, Werner. I think there are entrepreneurs who like numbers, though. I mean, think of Warren Buffett. He's likes numbers about as much as anybody. Rich thinking, visionary, high energy, not so high energy. Interesting. I think you can find people in both camps. Being rich is more than money. Thank you, Patty. Victoria, consistent, resilience, quitting. Yeah, giving up easily versus persistence. Interesting. Oh, okay. Schwa says they choose their peer group. They like to fit into their peer group. Independent. Yeah. Group thinker. I hadn't thought of that one. That's good. Action taker, says Joan Klein. Action taker versus not an action taker. They take time to be clear, get clarity, and then the right side, I think they take things as they come. They just like, whatever, let's just create something out of this time. Good. Optimistic versus pessimistic. I know some pessimistic rich people, but of course, maybe they were given the money. Rich minded, focus on building momentum. Good. Rich sense of urgency versus no time limits. Interesting. Determination. And whenever it happens, says Heshi. They don't let negative emotions dominate, or they become overwhelmed by their emotions. Interesting. Joan Klein, they can handle criticism, and John said, and then they don't handle criticism well. Rich save a first part of their earnings, and the poor spend all of their income. We can find people on both sides of that scale. They can bounce back easily versus settling, says Julie. Self-starters versus waiting for others to lead. I like the word self-starter. That's a good one. Yeah, self-starter versus a what starter. What's the opposite of that? If they're a self-starter, they're somebody else has got to start them, I guess, right? Okay. Explore versus stay with what is familiar. Rebound from failure quickly, give up on ideas easily. That's the second time that somebody's brought that up. View money as stool to make money, view money as to spend. as a tool, not a stool, but a tool, right? Willing to research versus settling. Rich thinking, proactive versus reactive. Ooh, now that one resonates with me. Proactive versus reactive. That's going to make my short list, definitely. That's what Covey would say. Yeah, rich thinking, frequently working out of their comfort zone. Yeah. Taking my notes here. Okay. Discipline. They delegate and they try to do everything. See, now I'm gonna check myself on that one. I have a hard time delegating. It's just tough. Curious versus settling. Okay, thank you for those suggestions, everybody. Those were good, really good. Oh, okay. If you do the research, Babson College in, I think it's around Boston somewhere, is the Center for Entrepreneurial Research and Training. It's a college, the university has all kinds of classes, but they specialize in entrepreneurship. And when you go in and dig deeper in some of their research, they find that the number of entrepreneurs actually changes year to year. It goes between like 12% to like 17, 18%, depending upon the year. But generally speaking, I use the number 15%, which is 1 in 7. 1 in 7 is a person who thinks like somebody on the left-hand side there. 1 in 7. And when you look at the list, you can see that entrepreneurs generally are that kind of thinker. So if it's 1 in 7, that means that 6 in 7 are employee minded. And why would they be employee minded? Well, because more than likely their parents, if it's 6 in 7, that means that there's a 85% chance that the people who raised them were employees. Now, my dad was an employee. He worked for a sugar company, the British Columbia Sugar Beet Company, where they would grow sugar beets and then would process the sugar beets and get the sugar out of it and then sell it to the world. And my dad was the accountant for that company since the Depressions, and he died in 86. So he retired at 65. So his was a perfect employee. And my mother, since she passed away when I was born, I didn't get to learn what her strengths and skills were. I just got it in my DNA. But my uncle was an entrepreneur, and he made a lot more money than my dad did. And he ended up owning the store that my grandfather created, which created some feelings right there for a while. My dad says, finally, I don't like conflict, buy me out, right? And he did. He bought him out, and Dad got a chunk of money, and not much, but off they went. And my uncle was very much left side thinking. My dad was very much the right hand side thinker. So how come I ended up as an entrepreneur? Well, it was part of my DNA. My grandfather, major entrepreneur, big time, but he died before I was born. But I thought I was going to be like my dad and go get a job and work for somebody till I retired, and then I would go buy real estate, and I would turn my retirement money into real estate investing and retire with much more money at the end of it. But nope, entrepreneur had to come out. So generally speaking, if you're an entrepreneur, you are different, and people think you're crazy. 6 out of 7 are going to think you're nuts, because when you say you like freedom and you like to create and you like big fast money, they look at you like you're out of your mind. Like, why? Because they think totally differently. And why that is? Why do they think that way? Is it because the way they were raised, Or was it the environment they were raised in, or was it the heredity that they, my case, my environment was very employee minded stuff, but my heredity was, let's go figure out how to make all those values on the left hand side of the scale. Let's make those things work. So sometimes we learn it. Some people just grow into it. Some people decide they see somebody else doing it. They say, I want that. I want that lifestyle. Yeah, that's what I want. So there definitely is a different way of thinking is what I'm trying to bottom line here. There's a way of thinking. You need to take this list right here, take a photo of it with your camera. And of course, you'll get this on the BobCast recorded conversation. You can watch it again if you want to, but you should be asking yourself, what other things make me different? Why? What are some of the values? A value is something that you do, right? You don't value it, you won't do it. So if you value it, like for instance, freedom, extremely important to me. Just risk. I can tolerate risk. I'm okay with risk. Challenge. That's in the, and see my name is in the middle of that word, challenge. So I like to lead. I like to create. I like flexibility. I like to make big fast money. I'm okay with promoting and persuading. I'm not that good at selling, although I've learned how to do it better. I see opportunity everywhere. Problem is you have to focus on just a few things that resonate with who you really are. That's what I call purpose. And so yeah, that describes me right there. What describes you? What other I want you to think about over this next week. What other characteristics, that, and how did you learn those characteristics? Was it natural? Did you learn it from somebody you saw doing it? Did they train you how to do it? Maybe you weren't that way, but they taught you how to do it. You learned how to do it, became effortless for you. Or is it just like ever since you're a little kid, you're out doing lemonade stands and selling bottles, Coke bottles, and creating these little things where you were the Mark Twain, having everybody else paint the fence for you while you got the big money and they got the small money. Maybe just like the way you were, right? The very earliest years of your life. It's just kind of the DNA, So entrepreneurs, they see opportunity everywhere. And how you know that is you're an entrepreneur. Where are you? What room are you in now? Where are you talking to me at? Where are you watching this? Is it in your car? Somewhere in their car? Pull over your car. Don't do this while you're driving. Are you in an office somewhere? Are you in a bedroom? Where are you? So wherever you are, look at everything in that room. If you're in a car, look at everything that's in that car. And every single thing in that car, every single thing in the room where you are right now that was created by somebody made them a fortune. Every single physical thing you see was created by somebody, and they made a fortune doing it. So talk about seeing opportunity everywhere. Like everything you see made somebody a fortune. Everything you see, not just a little bit, 100% of the things you see that are created. I'm not talking about nature and animals and birds and things of that nature, although people take those things and make fortunes from them too. I look out, I'm looking out my window right here, and there is a backhoe on my street here right now. Last night they were here digging out the rocks on my front of my yard to take out all these trees and all these rocks, and we're going to put in some grass here. I see these trees, somebody cut them down. We had a whole bunch more trees there just a couple of days ago. And so in other words, everything I see can be turned into a fortune. Somebody is an expert on trees, and therefore I got to go to them and learn about how to make the trees. A couple of them have got some problems with them. I see grass, I see, I see all kinds of stuff. Almost everywhere you look, there's opportunity. Whereas ordinary people who are not entrepreneurs, they don't see it. They can't even get it. Like, oh, somebody else has created that. It's good. Good for them. And they never think like, why don't I do that kind of stuff? You know? So this is a mouse, you know? So it's created by Apple. It's a mouse. I can buy mouses that somebody else has created. There are thousands of mice that other people created like this. And Apple created a mouse that was square at one time. Remember that? Like 20 years ago? It was square and it was just totally, just didn't work, you know. The very version 1.0 sucked big time. Version 1.2 or 2.0, they totally changed it because they had figured out it just didn't work. So they were okay to take the failure on it. So as an entrepreneur, since everything can be made smaller, bigger, faster, slower, more expensive, less expensive, different colors, different sizes, different shapes, everything you see can be recreated in a totally different type of characteristics. I can make, like I said, this mouse is the way it is right now, fits in my hand, but somebody could create another mouse. Maybe it's not this mouse. Maybe it's actually linked somehow to my glasses. Where my eyes looked for 1 second straight, it created a mouse effect. In other words, one of these days we won't use mice like this. Somebody's going to create something new, different, and they're going to, and it'll take over the entire world, and everybody will have one. They'll go, just like everybody has it, not everybody, but most people have an iPhone now, and then they go, well, why would you have anything else? Well, I like Android. It's a little cheaper. They have different kind of apps. Okay, well, it was all started because Apple made a totally different phone. Not everybody had to copy, but in their own way. So what I'm trying to say is everything you see can be changed, morphed into something new, can be revolutionized. And when you revolutionize something, you now revolt against everything else. So when the iPhone came out, was that not a revolution? Because it revolted against the ordinary, bigger flip phone that everybody was using, and Nokia was dead. It was dead the moment the iPhone came out. I might still survive in some smaller senses, but pretty much the competition was destroyed on that day. And now they had to copy everybody else. Just the same way when my seminars came out in 1978, 79, and the title was Nothing Down, How to Buy Real Estate with Little or No Money Down. Well, there were a lot of seminars at that time. A lot of people were marketing real estate information stuff. But when Nothing Down came out, nobody else wanted anybody else's seminar. Why? Because Nothing Down was it. It was revolutionary. It was like, duh, whoa, just knock you upside the head. I want to go to that seminar because I don't have a lot of money. And therefore it put my competitors out of business. Done. That year, gone. Now, since that time, they have remorphed, and a lot of them are copying the way we did it back then. So entrepreneurs, they just see ways to create new opportunities everywhere they look, right? So today we're talking about mindset because it's 90% of the game anyway, the main entrepreneurial skill, this is something that entrepreneurs naturally do. Remember I talked about persuasion, they persuade, they promote. But if you want to really be a true entrepreneur, you have to do this. You have to sell stuff. You have to sell. You got to get the money and deliver the product. And that's hard for many people, even though they might check themselves off the left side of the list we just came up with, and saying they were entrepreneurs. I would bet that many of you would say that selling is hard for you. Okay, so let's have a little survey on that one. Let's suppose that selling hard to sell let's say it again. Here, let's do it this way. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is I am terrible at selling, or I don't like selling, or I'm not good at selling. Selling is one of my weaknesses, means getting the money, right, from somebody. Versus 10 is a piece of cake. I love to ask for the money. Give me your credit card. It's effortless for me. I don't care what they think. Just give me your credit card, please. Or some people in network marketing, they'll say, I just called up my sister and I said to my sister, do you trust me? Yes? Good. Give me your credit card. They sign them up in some network marketing opportunity for $1,000. Some people are just good at that. They just do it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you fit? You in that scale. 1 is not good. 10 is excellent, really good. And you're going to go into the chat right now and you're going to type your number. It could be a 3 or 4 or 7, 8, 9, 10, wherever you happen to be. And everybody go in the chat. I won't show this chat quite yet. I want every one of you to go into the chat and tell me your selling number. 1 is not good. 10 is the best. Okay? Everybody. Let's see where you fit. All right. All right, going down to the bottom, Tom was the last one I see. Everybody's put it in there. Rick's got a 6. NBC Wellness has an 8. Okay, Bunny says, if I believe in what I'm selling, I'm a 10. That's a pretty good way to. 4, 5, 9.9997 says John Lee. Patrick 6679 said Heshy. Heshy, you're probably a 10. 7 says, well, retail selling 10, selling my products a 7. Okay, 5, 7, 6, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 6, 3, 6, 3, 5, 3, 7, 3, 8. Okay. Selling other people's stuff, no sweat, 10. Selling my stuff, 3 maybe. Oh, that's interesting. 6, okay, yeah. So you'll notice that many on this call didn't score very well in the selling. And I gotta admit, I was that way myself too, for many, many years. And it's something I had to fix, and it took a while to fix it. Maybe one of these days we'll do a separate training on that, where how you fix the selling part, because you got to fix it. You got to learn how to sell, because if somebody else is selling your stuff, they need to know your way of selling it, right? See, well, secret number 2, if you want to be rich, you need to mentor with rich people, which is one of the things you're doing here. And also many of you have other mentors that you mentor with. They just show you the shortcuts. They tell you what not to do, what to do this, don't do that. It's the thing I wish I'd learned earlier in my life, to really spend more time on this one. You just need somebody to help you across the chasm of from nothing to everything. Somebody's got to show you the way. It's just faster. It's you can do it by yourself. It's more expensive is all. Well, secret number 3, if you want to be rich, you need to invest like rich people. So where do rich people invest their money? Got to do that, right? So how does Warren Buffett invest? Well, he's both an entrepreneur and an investor, and they are different. An investor likes the numbers, likes the details, likes to let the money work for them. And as Warren Buffett would say, well, let me just show you what his growth was like. So when he was 20 years old, he had saved $20,000 from all his little entrepreneurial ventures. And he lost like $6,000 in investing in a gas station once. And maybe it was $4,000. It was a lot of money in 1950. And he lost it, and he was just pining over it because he realized what that money could have grown into if he hadn't lost it, but continued to kept compounding it. But he was an entrepreneur. He was selling things. He was selling Coke bottles when he was 5, 6 years old. So he knew business. And then he turned into an investor, which is where he would buy businesses. This is a totally different mindset. And he says, I'm a good investor because I am a businessman. And I'm a good businessman because I'm an investor. He's both. So by the time he was 30, he took the little nest egg that he had and grew that into, $5,000, I think, is how much money he put into his first investment fund. And he returned their money to them with 6% interest, and then they split the profits. They got 80%, he got 20%. And that was pretty generous, really, because he was generating big returns. So he made sure they got their money back. He borrowed money from his neighbors, his friends, and his family. Give me your money. I'll return your money plus 6%. And then we split it above that. You get 80, I get 20. I think that was the number. Well, he took that amount and he took his money and he left it in the fund so he could get his money to grow at 20% per year. And so by the time he was 30, his 20,000 had grown into $1 million. Now, how does $20,000 grow into $1 million? Well, if you times 20% by 20, $20,000 by 20%, I haven't done this, but let's just do it for fun. So I times it by 0.2, and let's see, like 0.2. No, it would times it by point. Sorry, I did the wrong number. $20,000 times 0.2 means it's $4,000. So $24,000, and I times that by 0.2, and I times that by 0.2, and I times 0.2 is 20%. So it starts to grow into a number that's pretty big. By the time you get to $500,000, you grow that by 20%. That's $500,000 times 2 is 100,000. So then it's 600,000 times 2. And then it's, 720, and then times that to pretty soon you get into the millions. 20% is just huge. By the time he was 40, he had a $25 million net worth. But even that's not that big when you think about it, when he has what he has today. It took him 10 years to go from 20,000 to $1 million. Now, a real estate investor can do it in 1 year. You could turn 20,000 and turn it into $1 million in 1 year. I'm doing this challenge with some teenagers starting this next Monday in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. And we've got 20 teenagers, and it's called the Teen Millionaire Challenge. We've already selected the teenagers. Parents have already agreed to help fund just their living expenses. And these kids are gonna make $1 million in a year. And we're going to coach them and guide them through this entire process. I don't know if all 20 of them will, but one of them will. One of them will. And a lot of them will make 100,000. And so this isn't Warren Buffett thinking. He, as an investor, he thinks consistent long-term rates of return above 20%. That's his model. And so it took him 10 years to get his first million, and it took him another 10 years to get to 25 million. Then it took another 10 years to get to 100 million. Remember, he doesn't like to spend that money. He lives in the same house he bought in 1956 in Omaha, Nebraska. He doesn't like to spend his money because he realizes if I can save that money and put it out in my fund at 20% growth, it turns into $1 billion, By the time he was 60, he had 4 billion. He cracked the $1 billion. That's 4,000 million. By the time he was 70, he had 30 billion. See how every 10 years it goes up exponentially? Big time. Because when you times 4 billion times 20%, that number every year, 20%, 20%, 20%. By the time he was 80, he had 50 billion. Last year, I think he was 88, or the year before that, he had 88 billion, $1 billion for every year of his life. And he was an investor. So the real question is, why isn't he an entrepreneur? Well, he buys businesses and he lets those businesses run and operate, and he gets percentages of their profits, which gives him this higher rate of return. Whereas most people, and he only buys the kind of businesses that can do that. So what Warren Buffett has said, don't do what I do. Don't do what I do. You'll have to spend your entire life at it. You have to read 500 pages of stuff a day. That's all he does every day is read. And he just pumps all that information into his brain, and he spends a full time at it. And he has a staff of like 20 or 15 people, and that's all they do is look for businesses who have the probability of generating 20% rate of return per year. And then he buys those businesses. I was on the phone today with a guy who worked at a company that he owned for 30 years and worked and became a vice president of marketing for one of his companies. It was a fast growing company, was growing. Warren Buffett says that everybody should be investing their money in the S&P 500. What is that? It's the combination of the 500 biggest companies in the world. This was and I do that. This is what I do. I don't invest in the stock market at all, except when somebody gives me stock ownership in a company that is publicly traded for my sweat equity. I'll take that, exactly. Will I put it into the S&P 500? No, probably I won't. But my monthly investments, they go right here. So this chart I got in a report that I received yesterday in the mail yesterday from my account, Schwab. I have the Schwab S&P 500 fund, and it's a standard S&P 500, Standard & Poor's 500 of the biggest corporations in the world, Apple, and the other 500 big ones, right? 2011, it did 2%. You would have left your money in the bank and did a lot better than that. But the very next year, if you were investing and leave your money sitting in there, it would have grown 15%. If you left it in 2013, it would have grown to 32%. And as you notice, it has hit ups and downs. In 2015, it's 1.29%. But the rest of the time, look at it. There's only a couple of really bad years. Of course, 2018 was a bad year, but followed by 31% in the next year. This is where Warren Buffett says you should put your money because it's a no-brainer. It's making money while you sleep. And if you're not doing this, all of you should be doing this. Every one of you. $50 a month, $100 a month, $500 a month should go into this fund because this is what rich people do. Now, Warren Buffett you can invest in his fund called Berkshire Hathaway. I'm not sure what Berkshire Hathaway has done. I should have probably looked that up. What has Berkshire Hathaway done as of the last little while? Let's look it up real fast. Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah, okay, let's look at its stock. Okay, here we go. I'll share with you what it looks like. This is Berkshire Hathaway. This is Warren Buffett's company. This is where the richest man of all time, and the stock market investor of all time, this is where he puts his money. Let's see what's a 5-year return on that. You see that 5-year return? I've been telling people to do this in multiple streams of income. I've been saying this for 20 years. 20 years. If you bought when you first bought multiple streams of income, this is the rate of return you would have. This is what it looks like. This is the maximum rate of return. Look at that. Since multiple streams came out in the year 2000, Most people didn't do it. Is this going to change? No, this will not change. This will be ups and downs, just like I shared with you before. You have to spend $420,000 to get one share. When I was telling people it was like $50,000 for one share. Let's see, what's a Berkshire Hathaway B? Class B. Class B, the share is $279. You could do this. You can buy this. This is the B. This is the same rate of return. And you buy little slices of the big Class A share. So if what I was trying to teach you about investing like rich people, you should buy both of those, Berkshire Hathaway B and S&P 500, and then forget it. And never worry about whether the stock market goes up or down ever again. Just put your money there for the long-term growth, and then go as an entrepreneur. You take that saving money, that's 10% of your money should be put in a long-term growth like that anyway. And then you go make money the big fast way, big fast money. This is low, slow money. 20% seems like not that much compared to real estate, but compared to other real estate, other stock market investors, 20% is Warren Buffett style, big time, huge, huge money. So like he says, you need to, if you want to be rich, you need to find a way to make money while you sleep, or you'll work till you die. You'll be an employee till you die. Or if you're an employee, you can buy Berkshire Hathaway B and S&P 500 and be multimillionaire when you die, when you retire. Because at 10% growth, and give yourself a lifetime of making it grow, and you put $100, $200, $300 a month into it, you're going to be a multimillionaire by the time you retire. Now, some of us don't have that kind of time left. But if you're younger on this call and you got 30 or 40 years, you'll be a multimillionaire doing these two things I just shared with you today. Just do them. Easy. And you're making money while you sleep. My S&P 500 went up while I was sleeping. It went down and went up, it went down and went up. So multiple streams of income talks about lots of other ways of making money, whether it's real estate or information marketing or internet marketing or any other kind of small business, including network marketing, selling somebody else's products. These are the things you do to make big, fast money, right? But most employees are not good at this. So, they want to start some kind of a side hustle, and most employees are not good at the side hustle because they are not good at selling, and they're not good at marketing, and they're not good at persuading, and they're petrified to lose any money because they don't like to lose. That's probably another characteristic. They hate to lose. Of course, so does Warren Buffett. He hates to lose too. Maybe that doesn't work. So anyway, where are you as an entrepreneur? Multiple streams of income talks about 10 ways of doing it. And as you go from your frowny face life to a smiley face life, you need a vehicle. The long-term vehicle is going to be the stock market in the two ways I told you to invest today. The fast Ferrari vehicle, there's a tortoise way and a hare way, right? There is a Volkswagen way and a Ferrari way, and the Volkswagen way is going to be the S&P 500. The Ferrari way is going to be some ways of making money as an entrepreneur. So the ideal product, you'll look at what Warren Buffett learned from being a businessman, selling products, services, and information. That's what his businesses do. They sell stuff. So he has decided which kind of stuff to sell. And when you really look at his businesses, you can see why he is a greater likelihood that his companies will grow at 20% per year, because they have a fundamental foundation of of successness about them, that when things go down, they don't go down as far in Warren Buffett companies. And when they go up farther. So what are those foundational characteristics of a product? I'm just going to spend 5 minutes on this today because we've gone a little bit long, is my habit. But what I'm saying, if you're an entrepreneur, which of these characteristics does your product fall into? So the ideal product is one that is consumable. That means it's not a one-time only product. When your customers buy your product, is it one time only? Or do they have to keep buying the same product over and over again? That's consumable. One time only means you have to go find a new customer. And therefore, if the economy is bad and new customers can't be found, you're out of business. But if you're a consumable product and it becomes the next characteristic, it becomes an essential product to you versus discretionary, people will buy through the business cycles. Because it's consumable, they need to get more. And because it's essential, they can't do without it, no matter what. If you need tires on your Volkswagen and somebody slashes your tires, you'll have tires on your car within a week because you need them. It's essential. You'll figure it out. You'll give up something to get them. But most products are discretionary, meaning that people only buy them once, and they buy them because they kind of would like to buy them. I could buy it or I could not buy it. Finally, they are created for people who have permanent problems versus temporary problems. Is your problem permanent? Meaning, will you always have this problem? Therefore, you'll always need this product. Somebody else might create something other, cheaper, faster than your product, but most of your customers will stay because your product, it isn't solved. It's temporarily solved, but then it comes back again. It's permanent. You're always going to have it for as long as you live. And sometimes there's a temporary problem, and you solve it. You fixed it. You have a broken sprinkler head in my lawn right now. Somebody's going to fix that. And when they fix it, I won't have to get it fixed for another 5 years. It's okay. It's a temporary problem. But a permanent problem is my deodorant. I have a permanent problem, and I got to fix it every single day. So that's why Gillette is a company that Warren Buffett owns, because it's consumable, essential, and it's a permanent problem. 3 of the characteristics that make it why he would say, I need that product. Coca-Cola, it's a permanent problem because you need your fix every day with Coca-Cola. It's essential to people because they're addicted, right? And it's just consumable. You just got to keep getting it over and over again. You got to fill up your fridge. So that's why 24 hours a day, when the sun comes up, 24-hour time zones a day, somebody is drinking Coca-Cola and making Warren Buffett richer while he sleeps, right? So that's why he's happy. He owns American Express, or a big chunk of it, 13% of it, by the way, 13% of American Express is owned by Warren Buffett. So when I use my American Express card on anything that I buy, whether it's essential or discretionary, whether it's permanent or temporary, whether it's consumable or one time only, anything I buy, Warren Buffett makes money. And then if I don't pay my credit card off, the money is growing at 20% per year. Did you get that? Did you get that? Not only does it make percentages when I buy something, but if I don't pay my loan, my bill off, it compounds at 20% per year. So, hey, Warren Buffett kind of thinking, right? So, what we've been discussing today is the way rich people think, the way they see the world, the way their mind works. How does your mind work? You want to have a side hustle that works? Go look at those characteristics and say, I need to work on some of them. If selling is something I got to work on, I better work on it. What book can I read? What training can I take? Who can I coach me on this process? If I did a private session with you guys, let's say a 4-hour persuasion session as part of the inner circle, how many of you would show up for that? Where I would teach for 4 hours, 3-4 hours, exactly how to persuade, how to sell. Go into the chat and tell me how many of you would show up for a session that I would add to the inner circle. Good, good. Well, that's possible. I could add that. I never thought about it until today. So in the meantime, our call has gone a little bit long. Any ahas, questions, thoughts, things you put in the chat, things you want to ask me? We have 5 minutes and then our call will be done. Any questions you want to ask? Ahas? What'd you learn today? What'd you learn? You learned nothing today? Schwa, what did you learn? All
Can you
right.
hear me?
There we go. Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, well, I learned the characteristics of the ideal product.
Yeah.
Consumable, essential, and permanent. Very well put together. I like that. What I learned.
Just look at Warren Buffett's companies. Almost
Absolutely.
all of them fit that formula. And look at all the companies he doesn't buy because they don't fit.
I'm amazed. You give the example Gillette, and I see it's like just perfect. Wow, perfect description.
People are putting in their ahas into the chat. Thank you. It's possible to change from a poor way of thinking to a rich way of thinking. Says Bruce. John said investing sooner is essential. Bruce Riley said compounding is magic. Rich mindset, said Alan. I'm a rich thinker, said Yvonne. Good. It's possible to change a poor. Okay, let's see. Rich mindset. I'm a rich thinker. Let's see. How to think like rich people. I learned I belong here, says Tanya. I learned I feel good when I am here. Okay, well, Tanya, good. I learned, let's see, how important it is to think like rich people. I need to climb the sales scale. Ooh, that's a nice way of saying it. Tons, I'm game. Okay, good. Well, everybody, I wish you well. I love you. My best. Hope that this was a valuable experience for you. God bless. Bye-bye. For those of you who join me on the inner circle, we'll go into more stuff. See ya. Bye-bye, everyone.